Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationship board games create. I'm your host, Ray Canny. With me today is Kent.
Hello.
Courtney.
Hi.
Matt.
Hello.
Adam's blank screen. And Rob.
Hello, everybody.
Adam might be in and out. He's having slightly technical difficulties, but we might also have a special guest tonight. Probably the most important guest we've ever had on the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, and someone that I hear can best Rob all the time in games, which is I'm pretty excited to see.
I wouldn't say like all the time.
All the time.
You know, I wouldn't say all the time. But yeah, we'll see. If you keep hyping her up, then she will not be on the show.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll just say she's grounded. It's like one of those things like where like little kids are like, "Oh yeah, I'm better than you." "Oh yeah, well I have a car. I can drive. Can you drive?" No.
As long as you're not running them over with the car or pushing them over while playing Happy Salmon, because we know how you
pushing them over. Yes, you can push them over. You just can't run them over.
But yeah, we have a action-packed show for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about games that you can travel with, or travel-sized games. We didn't discuss it that much. Something along those lines. And lots of other news things like that. How you guys doing?
Man, doing good.
Good.
How are you
Good to be back with a full house.
Oh yeah, well, kind of.
Hopefully, if Adam can get in.
Adam is here, we promise. He was here. As soon as it started, he's like, nah.
Bye,
everybody.
Bye. But it's been a couple weeks or 3 weeks. We try to do this every other week, but I swear, every single time, it's like something comes up.
Well, it's summer. People's schedules are changing. I know I'm getting ready to be gone for a couple weeks and stuff like that, you know, and so it's all right.
Yeah.
I think the community understands.
My kids are here for the summer, and we just went to the water park yesterday because I had the day off of work, so that was pretty cool.
That's nice.
And I got
Was
only
it super hot?
Slightly sunburned. It is South Florida, so it was decently hot, but there was a lot of like cloud cover, so it was raining a little bit, but not enough to like thunder for them to close the park, so it was pretty cool.
I love that. I love playing in the pool while it's raining.
Yeah. It was cool. They had like tons of water slides, so it was a lot of fun. After we talked my son into like being brave enough to get on them, he still has this trauma from being like pushed over at a young age, so
with fish, which is like water stuff, so I get that.
He's afraid of fish, he's afraid of anything like that, so
Afraid of Rob.
He's not here. I promise, Scotty. I promise.
Yeah, I had to send him to bed early because I thought like he knew that you were going to be on the show, so he was worried about like, you know.
Who's dead?
Not that Rob guy. No, that's awesome. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get into some news things. If I click the correct scene, boom. And the first piece of news, I think I'm going to have somebody else talk about. Oh, I actually saw an email come in. This may have been backed by somebody.
Are we doing mine first?
I mean, the news.
I am so freaking excited for this game. I am so pumped for this game.
Yeah.
So, Imperial Borders is a 2 to 6 player game based on post-Napoleon era Europe, and it's done by Larry Harris. And for all the war gamers out there, Larry Harris is the guy who's designed the Axis and Allies games. Nice. And he also designed like the big game War Room. Last time we were at Dice Tower, you guys remember like that huge round map of the world, and they're pushing it with sticks? That's War Room. Mm-hmm. And so he's the guy who's designing this game, and it's a 4 to 6 hour game, and it's the scenario is after Napoleon's second beating, after he is exiled from France for the second time. What if Europe did not come to peace? What if they would have kept going to war? So it's sort of like a speculative fiction of like, okay, instead of coming to peace, what if they have gone to war? And you are one of 6 factions that are going to play to try to fight out for war in Europe. The box is huge. The box is like 2 feet by 1 foot by 8 inches tall. The board is 44 inches by 44 inches, so it's just shy of 4 feet by 4 feet. It comes with all these different factions. You've got France, you got Spain, you've got Great Britain, you've got Russia. Um, there's a couple of other. I think Portugal might be one of them. There's so many things, but what I love the most, or I'm most excited about, is the way that you do your turns in this game. And it just launched today on Kickstarter. It launched today at noon. I've been following it, and I was like one of the first people to back. And within like 30 seconds of me backing, all of a sudden Kent texts me a picture of like, did you just back this game? Yes, sir, I did. Yes, sir, I did. I've actually been pretty excited to this. I just don't talk to you about this exciting stuff because you know what? This game has got story and it's got character, and you don't like that. You just want mechanics and moving stuff around.
It better have dice
Very true.
chucking.
Very true.
Well, there's plenty of dice chucking in this game. The components look gorgeous. The components look absolutely amazing in this game. In fact, what I will do is I will copy and paste the Kickstarter into chat. So if anybody
nice.
wants to be able to see it. But the components and everything look absolutely amazing. But what I'm really excited about on this game is how you play the game. So it sort of reminds me of Axis and Allies meets Game of Thrones, where you have to manage your army and you have to be able to pay for things and do things like that. But you also plot secret orders. So you're putting all of your orders down and then you're revealing them all at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So each nation secretly and simultaneously plots movement orders. And you have like these big private boards that only you can see, and then everybody's going to reveal at the same time. You also bid to see which turn order you're going to go into, which is, like Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. Whenever you have the track come up, you got to bid. But this turn there's only 9 rounds, and you're going to bid at the beginning of each round.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a little bit more bidding than Game of Thrones. And then you have, you can also be allies with people. And we can decide, hey, Spain and Russia, they're going to ally and they're going to pinch in the middle. But as soon as the battle starts, or right before the battle starts, it opens up for negotiations if you want to switch your alliances. So I might be like, hey, me and Russia, because I'm Spain, we're going to pinch. And all of a sudden Russia might be like, actually, I'm going to go ahead and side with Great Britain and we're just going to crush you right now. And so
Boom.
It has that backstabbery, hidden agenda, quiet movement that you're going to do. The game ends between round 6 and 9. Everybody is going to secretly vote if they want peace or not. And as the rounds progress, the votes are going to count for more. And the winner of the game is going to be the person whoever has the most points at the end of when everybody decides peace. You might be winning, so you might want peace because you're winning right then and there. Other people may just not want to play a 4-6 hour game any longer, so they may want peace, so the game is over.
Wow.
I don't think that's going to happen with my groups. I think my groups were going to play like the full 9 hours. It's going to be like, screw you. I still have an infantry guy left. I'm going to come get you. But the components also look amazing in this game. It even comes on the Kickstarter. It even comes like with these medals and stuff that you get to wear, that you get to clip on. Because like the old Napoleon generals where they have like all of these medallions on the side of their vest that they didn't earn and they just like are dinged out, like would get electrocuted going through a metal detector, and so you get like to put these on and they represent different points and stuff that you get to access for like maybe you won the best or the biggest battle that round, so you get that advantage the next round type of a thing. It just looks really great. It looks phenomenal. It looks like a lot of fun. They're not going to be doing a post Kickstarter, like you can't late back onto this game. Because they are immediately moving into production. In fact, one of the things that I like about it is that they've even said, hey, they put out a timeline. They even put down February and March of next year as a buffer for Chinese New Year. So they're like, it may get delayed during those. So we're going to go ahead and pre-plan because Chinese New Year is the same time every year.
What?
More companies did this.
Are you
Some
sure?
companies are like, oh crap, guys, Chinese New Year's again. We couldn't plan for this. This is the first company I've ever seen on Kickstarter say, hey, this is when the factories are shut down. So that's a lot of fun. So I do appreciate that. But the game looks huge. The game looks epic. I'm still on this big high after playing Axis and Allies. My buddy Nick, I'm going to try to get him to play Axis and Allies D-Day here in a week or two when he gets some time off. But this game looks huge. If you like that big battle war game style game that has a lot of negotiations but also treachery, this is the game for you. And so I loved the designer. I love Larry Harris because I like Axis and Allies. I own like
Facebook
6
chat
versions
is
of it.
asking what the base price point is on the campaign.
So the price for the game, there's only 2 pledge levels. 265 for the Imperial board game, or you can get 500 for Imperials and War Room. Where you save your money is if you do back this, they are doing free shipping worldwide, but you have to back it. Because the game is going to be so heavy, they're expecting shipping to be anywhere between $50 and $75 post-campaign. So you're already going to save $50+ right there for shipping. It's going to retail for over $300 or at $300+. So you're saving money by buying the 265 mark, and you're saving an additional $50+ bucks on shipping. And again, the shipping is, I think it's international, where
That's
they're not
wild. Hopefully, yeah.
so
that's wild.
with
That's
the box
dangerous.
being 2 feet, 2 feet long by 12 inches wide by 8 inches tall, and then the board is a neoprene mat that they said will be able to fold and fit in, and that's a 44 by 44 inch board. Again, it's just a couple inches shy of 4 feet by 4 feet. So not only is this a huge game, but it's a huge game. It's not just huge like in context of 46 hours, but its presence. Look at the Kickstarter. It also comes with each faction, comes with its own custom box to fit all of its pieces. The battle board is a dual-sided, because you also have Navy warfare. There's a lot of naval warfare. So you
Yeah, the
can
ships
flip
in the
the
pictures
battle
look
boards.
really cool.
You got ships and all this kind of stuff. And then there's a whole tracker for negotiations and for points and stuff. I love that about Game of Thrones, where I'm like, hey, I'm not going to attack you. I'm marching, but it's not towards you. I'm marching over here. And then I completely lied. I'm going to come kill you. This is sort of like that same thing. But now with this allegiance part of it, right? Like where I can declare my allegiance. It's almost like that with Rex, how you were you had your
Yeah.
allegiance. Well, this you can break it. The moment battle starts, before it starts, you have an opportunity to say, I changed my mind. I'm now going to fight with so and so. So all of the backstabbery, I imagine all the arguments, all of the fighting that's going to happen after this game. Like, I think I'm as excited for the talking after the game as I am for the game itself, because it's gonna be like, man, I really thought you were gonna help me out, and bro, you screwed me over. Don't talk to me. Get out of my house. Like, I'm so excited for that. I like when games bring out crazy emotion.
Well, this
I-
box
like, I'll
is big
be
enough
mad
it
for
maybe
an
could
hour,
be your
then I'll
house.
get over it. But this looks so good. And I'm very excited, and it's being produced by Nightingale Games. They don't do a lot of stuff, so you're not going to find a lot of, but the things that they do are really big. They're more of like a big war game company and stuff like that. And plus, Larry Harris, in the war game side of stuff, he's just like a legend. And because I own, like I said, I own several copies of Axis and Allies, and I don't even own half.
Oh, that's crazy.
I have like 4 or 5 or something like that.
I had never heard of anything like this game, and Rob's enthusiasm makes me want to play it.
Bro, go to the Kickstarter.
It
and
looks
just
great. I'm
watch
looking
the
at
video.
it right now. Looks
Just
ridiculous.
watch the video. The
The
video,
map-
and when they show you all the different things that you can do, the video's like 3 minutes long. It looks so beautiful. The miniatures look
The
fantastic.
map is big and circular enough where Matt might just buy it to have it.
Well, this map is not circular. The war room is circular.
Oh, the
This
war
map
room was
is just
circular.
a
That was
huge cube. But even the map looks gorgeous. The map, I like the old Europe design of the map. I love the way that the miniatures look. Like you can upgrade your miniatures from infantrymen to cavalry to artillery, and then you have the different kind of boats and things like that. Like the game just looks great. And you have all these flags and all these different capitals and fortresses and things that you can build and stuff like that. It just, I don't know, man. I haven't been excited about a game like this in a long time.
They had you at Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
And
that's-
shipping.
Man,
To be fair, when the game costs 200
I
and
was like, you know what? You guys have got it together. You're exactly right, Courtney. I was like, you know what, guys? This company knows what they're doing.
when the game costs $256, the shipping is not free. I'm just
Yeah.
Well, no,
the shipping's not free for anybody involved.
It comes with over 600 pieces of
Oh,
plastic.
I get it. Yeah. I'm just saying somebody's paying that shipping. It's definitely not free.
Yes. No, I do get what you're saying. The shipping, I do think
that
that we
into
are
the price,
getting a
yeah.
break. I think we are getting a break. It's going to retail for $300+, and then when you buy it retail, you got to buy it from their store. and from their store, it's an additional $50 to $75 depending on where you are in the world.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, anyway, I'm so pumped. I want to wear one of those like little medals, after I went around. Just like you guys got to do.
You've been
what
showing
I
off
say.
homes with the little medal on.
Right? Yeah, like there's a morale, there's an annexed territory, there's a homeland medal, elite ships, elite land units, Victorian, right? And so the top score in each category earns a medal and bonus, and then you get to clip it to your lapel. So I guess you come with a little lapel. Man, it looks so cool. I'm so pumped for this, and the fact that they even have a port battle board where like it shows like you're doing naval battles and stuff like that. Like, come on, man. Yeah, there's
If
Russia.
it wasn't
Russia,
nerdy enough to talk
Austria,
about D&D all the time,
Spain,
now we're on.
What's that?
Rob's like, you get to wear pins. This is insane.
You get to wear pins. They take into effect Chinese New Year, and it's a huge board and over 600 pieces of plastic. I'm in. So
Love it.
super pumped.
It looks like
How
fun.
are you going to explain this one to?
I'm not.
You just justified it right there.
I'm
Just
I'm-
we'll just
I'm
send
not
it.
even
We'll
bringing
clip
it
out.
up.
We're gonna take that clip of your discussion of it, and we'll send it to her.
no,
He's
you
really
don't have to
excited.
sell them.
His heart rate's 130 right now, for sure.
Like I was excited, but now this is nervous sweat. This is no longer sweat. This is immediately turned to nervous sweat. No, honestly, we won't get charged with this until like right after it's either at the end of our Scotland trip or right after we get back, which is like the worst time to get charged like $300 on a game after you just traveled to Europe and like spent 2 weeks there. So I've got to figure out something. Like I've got to come up with something. Or I don't know. I just might eat like nothing while I'm there. Like, no, babe, I'm good. I'm saving. Blah blah blah. But it's really just, I'm saving them. So we'll see. But thank you, Courtney, for ruining the excitement.
Wah wah. Reality check. Ugh.
But I already backed.
I just wanted to give you time to back out,
No, I will not be backing out of this game. I've even got my dad. My dad's backing the game.
Listen, it's a family bonding experience. Like, how could you?
Yeah.
Deny
This is
that?
his first Kickstarter ever that he's going to have backed.
Nice.
And so he's asking me questions. Hey, what does this mean? I was like, well, this means this, and you may not get your money back. Oh, really? I got to talk to my wife about it. Yeah, you better. I'm going to talk to mine, though. But yeah, this is so Imperial Borders. If you like big epic games, take a look at it. It's coming out next summer. It's supposed to be. You should have your copy by July. I would typically say August, September, but again, they took into effect Chinese New Year. You'll probably have it July.
All right, this next game is Unstoppable from John DeClaire and Renegade Games. I don't know too much about this, but
Because I added this one. I don't know a ton about it, but I
It looks
do
like a
know
really
it's
candidate game.
It
it's
definitely
a
looks like a
solo
game for
or
me.
a co-op
Yeah.
only, or
That
solo
sounds
co-op,
fun.
1 or 2 player only game, which is kind of interesting. For Courtney and I are big into kind of co-op and especially deck builder kind of card games. So this one looked kind of cool. It's got the John D. Clare card crafting system elements.
I
where
like
you're
me some
taking
John DeClaire.
cards and you're adding in like little new features to the cards. You're going to pick a character to start with, and you're going up against a boss essentially. So, and I think from what it sounded like, I'm not exactly sure, the changes to like whenever you play a version of the game, it like makes subtle changes to like other games you play in the future. But I don't know if they're really connected story wise. But I think it just
That's
adjusts
cool.
the game a little bit. And it's kind of roguelike, which I'm big into roguelikes,
Oh, that
at least
sounds
on
fun.
video games. So it just sounds kind of like a neat concept. I don't know. The IP is, I don't know if it's based off anything. It's just kind of sci-fi, sort of fantasy sci-fi-ish maybe. And they keep saying that there's just something called the momentum system. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's just more marketing or whatnot, but it's not quite like card combos from what I was reading. It's more like depending on how you play the game, it's going to change the way the game flows like towards the end of the game, kind of. It's sort of a weird thing. It's like they're giving an example of like how if you're playing like a game of Dominion or something, you're basically going to always be drawing 5 cards, playing cards, whatever you can, then you're going to turns over, draw 5 more cards. They said basically the system is you can change how the flow of the game goes depending on how you're playing the game is what it sounded like. So it sounds kind of interesting. It's kind of got a cool look to it. Deck building, card crafting sounds pretty neat. And And I don't know, like I said, the 1 to 2 player might be pretty good because it's very specifically designed for that player count. Like I know playing a lot of co-op deck builders like Marvel Legendary, for example, it doesn't scale that well, especially at higher player counts and stuff, because it was not really, I don't know if it was really designed to be super optimal at certain player counts.
Yeah.
But I feel like with a game like this, it's going to be pretty well tuned, I'd say, for a 1 or 2 player count is an easier game probably to tune and get exactly right. So it probably plays pretty well. And John D. Clare's a good designer. Renegade's a good publisher, so I'm just interested in this one for sure.
I like that the cover, it's really subtle, has what looks like a dune sandworm with wings on it. I was like, what is that? It looks crazy.
Right,
it looks crazy. Yeah. That looks awesome. I'm excited about this. John makes really good stuff, so it'll be cool to see what he comes up with, especially in the cooperative.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
Has he done many cooperative games before? Like most of his games are all competitive that I know of.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I'm excited
to
see, especially since I love Marvel Champions type stuff, and especially if this is very different from that, but still, that sort of vibe would be really cool.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem like a massively big game either. Too, it's like seems more contained. Like it's more of a manageable game. I'm sure if it does well, there'll probably be expansions for it. But at least
they did say it comes with the whatever system, So that's kind of the fact that this is the first game in that system makes you think that they're going to be coming out with more.
Yeah, that's very true.
Momentum system.
And it's on Kickstarter right now. It's got I think 12 days left. It says no late pledges, kind of like Rob's Kickstarter. So.
Oh, interesting.
If you're interested,
Renegade Games is actually the company that picked up Axis and Allies.
Yeah, they picked up a ton
they're doing the reprint, and they even just came out with a new version, GI Joe, like Arctic Circle. Axis.
Nice.
Yeah, and they just came out with the Transformers Robo Rally.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
They published Robo Rally, and now they published that version, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
Anyway, that was Unstoppable.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
All right, Spiel des Jahres. This is a gigantic award from Germany.
Yeah, so these are the nominees. I don't know when the award is going to be officially announced, but there's always 3 categories. Spiel is like the family kind of light game. The Kinderspiel is the more it's called like the connoisseur game or like the more gamers game, and the Kinderspiel is for the little kids. So the nominees for the Spiel are In the Footsteps of Darwin, which is it's kind of a tile-laying drafting game. It's pretty easy, but it's really fun. We've enjoyed it quite a bit. It's pretty simple, but you can make some kind of cool choices with basically collecting animal tiles, putting them on your board, and trying to do combo, rows and columns and stuff. And then the other one is Captain Flip, which is it's designed by Paolo Mori and I think one other designer. I'm not super familiar with this game, but it looks like another kind of tile laying sort of game where you're getting tiles and you're putting them on you're building like a little pirate ship. Trying to combo tiles together to do cool stuff, and that looks pretty fun, pretty light, obviously. And then Sky Team is definitely the heaviest of all these games.
Did you guys play Sky Team?
We did, yeah. So it's a co-op where you can't communicate, and it's sort of got some worker placement or dice placement elements, where you're trying to successfully land a plane. There's a bunch of different scenarios for it, but you're trying to work together through a certain number of rounds to get to the airport and land, and you have to allocate your dice in certain ways to like lower your flaps and like slow down or speed up or whatever you need to do. It's pretty fun. It's feels pretty unique for that type of game. It's pretty easy to play, but pretty fun.
That's awesome.
And then Kinderspiel was Daybreak, which is a Matt Leacock cooperative game about climate change. We have not played that one yet, but Matt Leacock does pretty good co-ops, I would say, with Pandemic and some of his other games. So it's probably a pretty good game. Guild of Merchant Explorers it's kind of like a roll and write if you didn't have a roll and write. You're like laying cubes out on maps to kind of go claim different lands and stuff like that. It's pretty simple and streamlined, but fun. And then Ticket to Ride Legacy, which is Ticket to Ride, but you play 12 games of it and all sorts of craziness happens.
Crazy stuff.
You guys played that, didn't you?
We've played a lot of it. We haven't finished it.
We've got like halfway. Can't need a break, of course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
put it away, and then
I think we've played maybe like 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, we played well over halfway, I think.
Yeah. And then the kids games, I am not familiar with any of these games at all. 2 of them are only in German at this point, but one of them is called. So I think the first one is Great Little Gems, is the English translation of it. It is a Wolfgang Warsch game, he's a really, really well-known designer. He did The Mind. He did
He did the fuzzies that Matt loves.
He's done a lot of good games.
The little fuzzy game.
Yeah, I think he's won this award before. If I had to
He won
guess,
for Gone Clever.
he might have won for Gone Clever. Yes, he does a lot of games, and I think this is a real-time game of some
nice.
sort.
What do you think the translation is?
I think it says "Great Little Gems" or something like that. I copied and pasted the name.
I just love the German language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Great little gems.
But a lot of times these kids games, we've imported a few of these kids games that are recommended, and they're pretty fun little kids games that we've played with our kids.
Yeah.
The other one is called Magic Keys, which this one has like a 3D board with keys you put inside of it. It looks kind of neat. It's got really nice table presence for sure.
Read that one for us too, Rob.
Schlüssel.
And then this one, I can read this one.
Rob, why does it sound like you're talking in reverse? If you played him on a
Taco
tape
Kitten
backwards,
Pizza
it would be
Junior.
something completely different.
Taco Kitten Pizza Junior. So it's from Blue Orange. It's I think a little party game. There's some speed game elements. You're trying to grab something in the center. You're trying to play cards that match, things like that.
That's awesome.
So it's like kids game. So those are the nominees for the Spiel. Have you all played any of these, or any of them you're interested in trying out?
Taco Kitten Pizza. Played that.
Wow.
There is a regular version. I'm pretty sure you can get it at Target or wherever.
Yeah,
I really want to play
I think they're
Sky
both
Team.
Pretty
but I haven't-
similar. It's one less. There's one less thing to say out loud with the kid version.
Okay.
Yeah. You say the pattern over and over, and you just keep playing cards until the pattern fulfills itself. And you try to smack your hand down and stuff.
Oh, there. Okay.
It's like a fun game to play at 3 a.m. when you're loopy from playing bigger stuff. Like it's definitely got a lot of like smashing hands into each other and stuff. You could probably mix it with Spiky Dastards.
I was about to say, yeah.
That sounds like
Find a way to
sounds
make it even
dangerous.
more violent.
Yeah, you could double the violence.
Which games do you think you guys are gonna win, or the things are gonna win for each? I think Sky Team's probably gonna win for the Spiel. I mean, unless it's too complex.
Yeah, I was gonna say only if it's too complex. That's my only drawback.
I don't know
on Sky
Captain
Team.
Flip enough to know if it would like.
Yeah.
I watched some overviews of it, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty easy and simple.
I like me
and
some
fun,
Paulo
but-
Mori.
Yeah, Paulo Mori is really good. So I'd honestly be happy with any of those three for the Spiel. I think they're all decent, pretty good games. So I don't know. I really like Darwin though. So I've played that one the most, and I like that one a lot. So I'd say maybe that would be my vote. But
I'm
I don't
hoping
know.
for Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, that one I could definitely see that one winning from what we've tried. of
Also,
it.
technically, Matt Leacock has 2 games in there, right?
Oh, that's true.
'Cause he's Ticket to Ride likes man, he's killing it.
Yeah.
Leacock is on fire.
That's Wolfgang Warsch has done that too. I feel like last year or the year before at some point
Right,
he's had multiple nominations in the same
Yeah,
category.
maybe when he had Quacks in there. I can't remember.
Yeah, I have to
That's
look
cool.
back, but he's had a lot too. Yeah. But those are the Spiel nominees. We'll announce probably at some point when the new ones come out. We'll talk about them,
Nice.
or when the actual awards are announced.
Let's do this. This one's so cool.
And then the next one here is Horrified World of Monsters. This is basically H.P. Lovecraft monsters in Horrified. They're doing a new version of the game. And of course, you can go up against Lovecraft. You can go against like jumping vampires or Ithaca, which is like a gigantic like Yeti beast thing. But yeah. And I heard that they're trying to make this a little bit more like compatible with the other Horrified games, which
So apparently
is super
you can-
exciting.
You can play Greek monsters with this board,
Yeah,
but
that's
not.
cool.
But I think not the original 2, not the Universal Monsters and the American Monsters one. So probably going forward, it's going to be mix and match.
Honestly,
which I
I wish they'd make a second edition of those first 2 and make them all like backwards compatible. That'd be
my gut,
amazing.
if this does well, they'll probably release a pack for it or something, because I really like the Horrified series. I already pre-ordered this, and I don't. That was something I've kind of thought a few times. By the time I got the third one, the Greek monsters, I was like, man, you should be able to just like.
Yeah, that'd
Have
be
a
great if you could
massive-
plug and play whatever you wanted.
That'd be so
They're
cool.
similar enough where the work could be done. I think where you could do it. It's going to be very cool.
I bet you people would rebuy the game easy if they're like, oh, the Universal Monsters can now go in the other ones.
For sure.
The North American whatever, all the different beasties can go in. That would be really cool.
Yeah, apparently it's this one in Greek, and I don't know. I like the weight of these games. I like the way you can scale the difficulty by adding more monsters to the games. They're really reasonable price point. They're not wildly hard to teach, but again, you can kind of scale them for the crowd you're playing them with, and they're co-op monster battlers.
And they're really good pick up and deliver games.
Yep.
There's not that many good pick up and deliver games, and they're definitely one of them.
Yeah, they have that kind of like where it's got that, what do you call it? That pandemic or
Oh man,
what do you call it?
I love running out of games. It's so good.
And this
Yeah, it looks cool.
the next one I'm also super excited about. This is Above and Below Haunted. And is this an expansion or is this standalone? I think it's an expansion for Above and Below, right?
I think it is.
I think it's an expansion. I'm not certain though.
I think it's just an expansion, but I love Above and Below. It was like the first
same.
Ryan Lockett game I played, and yeah, it's not, it's a little bit more Euro-y, you know, you're trying to build up your little market and stuff, but I love the fact that you can go underground and go on the little adventures and things like that, and you're recruiting your characters.
Oh,
it's just gonna be
standalone sequel.
Standalone
Oh.
sequel. That's awesome. So it's gonna be basically taking the parts of Above and Below and like evolving the game a little bit, which is super cool.
It says it's the 10th anniversary standalone sequel.
Oh, that's awesome. So the world of Above and Below has become haunted, and it also apparently has gigantic koi/goldfish now.
That tracks.
But it also has his game design experience he's developed over the last 10 years, which is going to make the game probably even better than it was originally.
Ryan Lockett is like a legend, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's
I was
amazing.
gonna say, speaking of game devs who just never stop doing stuff, it seems like he's got a game coming out every year. I feel like.
I mean,
Yeah, he stays pretty consistent for sure.
Which is wild considering his process too must be so long or so detailed. Like everything is so intimately his with these games, just since he's the illustrator as well. It's just crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
He does-
they're not lazy. Nothing's lazy about the illustration ever. It's always super detailed and
Yeah.
unique.
He has been publishing games with other designers, but still doing the art for them, which is still probably a lot of work too. But his company keeps putting out new stuff, pretty frequently.
yeah, I love these games. So and I really enjoy it, even though Above and Below is a little bit simpler. I mean, I think overall my favorite is probably still Sleeping Gods, but like I still really enjoy Above and Below as a little bit more of a gateway type game. So I'm excited to see how this changes it up.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Now my fingers are crossed for an Islebound sequel, which is a game
Oh, I know.
I love
Yes.
a lot.
And he's done second edition, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
That'd be fun.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he did an Islebound second edition in one of the Kickstarters that happened late last year.
Oh, it's possible. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that
actually.
That might have happened.
Because I think it was on GameFound, because I was backing it, and I was just like, I should get Islebound. But then I was
awesome.
like, will I ever play it? I don't know.
I really like Islebound. I think
That's
it's
good.
I think
I
it's
like
one of
it
his
too.
more underrated games. It's a quick play. It's pretty easy to learn. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a good one. We haven't played it in years, but it's fun from what I remember.
It's kind of got 4X vibes without fighting. You just fight the island.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Rob, do you want to start with yours since or
Yeah, we can do that.
nice, let's do it then. Call in the
All right,
infantry.
so I have a special guest with me.
Let's go back here.
Oh, there she is.
There she's. Get close. So, Kent's a really good dealer. He's a very good dealer, and he's got us hooked on the Lorcana bug. We love it at this house. So we got the Lorcana Ursula game, and so we tried it out. And Briley has been constantly bragging that she can beat Kent, and she wants to play Kent.
Oh,
And, yeah, we do a lot of smack talking in our house, but I asked her if she wanted to talk about the Ursula game, so.
I really enjoyed it. It was a whole bunch of fun. The most tricky part was probably when she would use cards that would banish all of her characters. That was probably the most trickiest thing. But it was really fun, and I had a really good time. I think working together was probably my favorite part, just because we never worked together, and I think it was just really fun to go
Yeah, we
against.
constantly are battling back and forth, so
Yeah.
this was nice that we're on the same team.
Yeah, so I think it was like really nice to just be together and kind of like work together.
What did you think about the whole Ursula's deck thing and how you had to ink some stuff or you got to play those cards? How'd you like that?
That was really cool. I liked her deck because it would be regular Disney characters, but they would all be corrupted, essentially, and then she would come put down those cards, and then they would have abilities to where they could either like get rid of all our items or kill our characters. But I just thought it was really fun, and it was different, but it was a good different.
Yeah, it was good different.
Yeah.
And 1 point in one round, Ursula got like 8 or 9 points from the artifact she had out, and then she had these 2 cards where she does something and then she automatically gains 3 points or 3 ink or Lorcana, sorry.
Yeah.
She gains 3 points, and those are the 2 cards we drew back to back. So like the third round, while we're still building up our stuff, all of a sudden she's like up to 11 or 12 points.
Holy smokes!
She jumped really fast, really quick. So it was a lot of fun.
Do
In
you
the first 2 rounds, she was up to 16 lore. It was,
16
wow.
lore, yeah.
It was crazy.
Do you
Yeah.
think that the Ursula thing is harder to play, like with your dad, like holding you down, or do you think it'd be easier to like play with like someone who's good at the game?
Well, he's the only one who really plays in the house, so I don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah, Kent's too scared to make the drive. You know, we've challenged Kent multiple times.
Oh wow.
So, you know, we've asked him to show his stuff, but clearly he's not ready, you know, for
Kent's
our level
stuck at
of
the fight. I
competition.
can tell.
So,
Yeah, I'm not tough enough.
What
You just-
what difficulty did you guys play on? Did you play on normal or?
we're gonna play again tomorrow. We were gonna try to play normal today, but my schedule was just slammed, and so we didn't get home till late. But we played on the beginner mode. We were learning the rules. We were learning how to do it. I liked how it was co-op and how we could work together. And I also liked at one point I had more lore. I had over 20 lore, so I was able to use some of my stuff to to draw cards and to do other things to help out the team. But man, there was a couple of we got really lucky. There was this one point where Ursula had 5 in her inkwell, and the 2 cards she drew, one was a 6 level card where it said destroy all characters.
Oh wow!
And Briley and I together, I think we had like 11 or 12 characters out in total. And then the other card, so that gave her 6 ink, and then the next card was a 7 card. So we got very lucky that round. If those cards were out sooner, we probably would have lost. And so that's what's also great about this game is out of the box it comes with 4 modes. You know, your novice, your beginner, your regular, or your beginner, then normal, then hard, and then extreme. So I like how it lets you level up and how you're, and how you want to play in your difficulty. And so we're pretty excited. And what did you say that you don't think Kent has beat Extreme yet, or he has beat Extreme more?
I'm wondering if he has, but if he has, that's just crazy. I was talking to myself the other day, and I was thinking the first time he probably played on Extreme and was like, yeah, I need to stop.
Yeah, that's right. He needed to stop. Yeah.
So I've played it on hard, and I think I did it on hard solo, but extreme is impossible. But also, you have to build a deck very specifically tailored to beat her, because like a normal deck you'd play against other players may not be best, may not work against her like it would against another normal player to some extent.
Right.
So you really have to like some cards that would be really bad against other players are actually good against her deck specifically. So like, you really got to make a special deck to beat extreme. It's very difficult.
I do like how easy.
2 base decks that came with the game.
Yeah, the decks that came with it.
Which was really cool too, because can you use those base deck cards in normal Lorcana as well?
The base decks you can use all that in normal. You just can't use her deck in any kind of.
So that was so cool. So that's one of the things that I love about the game is how you can use all this stuff, and it just adds and builds to it. So
you can customize as much as you want to make a better deck or whatever to fight her.
Yeah.
I like too how easy she is to run. You literally just like flip cards,
Yeah.
Like it's like and if she can't play it, it goes into her inkwell, and if not, then you just play it.
Super easy. Yeah. And then when the guys first come out, the game told us to set them off to the side, and then it's just like a normal, like they can't, unless it says ready them up or something. So it was like the game does a very good job of having Ursula play herself, but she plays like another character. But But man, that she had this other item thing that destroyed all of our items. So her trident thing gives her a lore basically every point or every round. And then she had this other thing that would destroy our items and or our lands and stuff.
There was one card that she had that said every character with level 2 or lower gets banished.
And we had a lot
he
of
lost like all of his characters.
I lost three of my 5.
Yeah, 3 of 5.
So, but it was a lot of fun. We definitely want to play again.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much. Do you have anything else? Is this now your time to talk smack to Kent? Is there anything that you'd like to say? Let me pull him up on the big screen so you can. Yeah.
What I just really enjoyed was being able to work together. That was just
No. He's right there. You say everything you're saying. Screw you, Kent. We're coming for you. You think you're good?
I would really like to go against him just to see what his cards do, because I've heard you have cards that are like kill all your characters and give 2 damage to each of your characters. So I think that's really cool, and I would at least try to beat you one day.
Why are you being
One of
so
these
nice?
days
Don't be
I'll
nice.
She's being
protect
really
you.
nice to Kent.
Don't be nice. I'll protect you. She's coming for you, man. You're not ready for her.
I need to
You're
come
not
over
ready
to your
for her. That
area.
little princess, bro. She's a nightmare to you. She's a nightmare. She's not a
I need to come
She's
over.
a
Visit.
menace.
We need to do some more Kana, maybe hit some local tournaments in your area, and
Yeah,
have a fun weekend.
yeah, we will. We definitely will. So, all right, now you're grounded.
She grew 3 inches since last time I saw her in person.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, that was us. We had a great time. I highly recommend it. Lorcana.
Sweet. All right, I guess we'll go back to Adam.
It's me. I forgot what I played.
You play
That's right.
Concept.
Okay, so I haven't played this in a million years. My foreign exchange student from Germany, his parents came and stayed with us for 4 days. And I had texted you guys, and I was like, I need a bunch of games that will be language independent. We played a bunch of games, as it turned out. So her parents and her cousin were here. And Concept actually ended up being a really big hit, which I was a little worried about, just because just drafting the cards sometimes when it's like an English language thing, like what the card means and how it translates might be an issue. But we made the teams German and American so that the younger Germans could translate for the parents if there was any kind of Americanized like words, like where the meaning might be different. And it actually worked out really good and just was a fun kind of loud table game to play when not everyone was at the same level with their German and English. So I thought it was kind of fun to be able to play a game that was that social. It has some language requirement. You have to be able to talk to each other a little bit, but like because most of the clue giving is just done by putting little tokens down. So if you haven't played the game, it is essentially a game of password where you have big colored tokens and you prioritize different little iconography on this huge board by being like primary idea, secondary idea, third tier idea, right? And you're, how many kind of levels of that iconography, how far down the rabbit hole you go if it affects the score. And you can play the game also totally cooperatively if you just want to like try to get a high score with everyone at the table as well. Or you can break it off into groups. It's one of those games where like there's a lot of like loose ways to sort of play it. But I've had it for a while. I probably haven't taken it out of the box in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 6 years. Yeah. But I was downstairs looking at games and I was like, man, I sort of need to break this out because I think it'll work really well, and it ended up working really well. And it's a game I probably thought about selling a couple times when I've called, and I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. It was great for the German friends.
I love Concept Kids, but I've never actually played regular Concept. Do the different color exclamation points mean different things, or?
Yeah, generally speaking. Oh gosh,
it's like a priority or something, or like this is more important.
It's like
than
a priority
that.
thing, and it starts with like a size one, and then you can kind of keep going down.
Okay, so in this picture, there's exclamation point besides clothing, and beside hands, and beside city, and beside there's a question mark beside male person. Huh?
Yeah.
Is it like gloves or something, or like arm pieces or sleeves?
I think that one's gloves. For whatever reason, when I'm clicking on my own slides that I made, it's not showing me the picture.
What?
in the document.
But it also has an exclamation point on city, so I don't understand why that would have to do it. But interesting.
Concepts are actually like somewhat difficult to like figure out sometimes because you'll be like, I need something that's making me think of fruit because I need to get to a fruit salad or something. So you got to go to like the little spheres because you're like, okay, these look like maybe grapes or apples or something. So like you kind of have to do that type of a thing.
Oh, there's also
with all the stuff on
stuff
the board.
where the cubes have to do as opposed to the exclamation points. So there's cubes and exclamation points.
Yeah. So you put. Oh my gosh! Now see they've been gone a week and I'm gonna forget how the game works.
The whole concept is guessing how the game actually works. You're like the rules are loose. I don't know what they are.
It's an easy game. It's actually a pretty easy game. I believe. Oh my gosh! I forget what the difference between the cube and the thing is, and it won't load and I can't look at it because my eyes are too small. But there is the cubes are. I don't think you have to use the cubes necessarily. I think
just for extra
sit in a
things.
dish. Yeah, it's like a you put the cube. I think you use the cube to mark the one that they got right up. Maybe somebody in chat knows this. I kind of forget because you have the dish of cubes and then you set the things on it, and then when you get one, you might mark it with the cube. Like you said the right thing for this. I think that's what you do because you're not supposed to talk when you're clue giving.
Oh, gotcha.
So there's like a little check.
You are absolutely can't.
Black and red and circular and
yeah. Rob,
and
this is
city.
a great game for you. This is a great Rob Newman game.
Yeah, because he totally won't talk.
Kent would want to throw you out a window.
Supposed to is like I shouldn't, but it's not a shall. It's not like a law.
It is definitely that game. It's a game where like everyone's going like this and stuff the whole time. Because it can be really tricky because you're just stuck with like these 100 icons, and you have to kind of like figure out how to pair them appropriately. So it can get pretty chaotic and fun. But yeah, I believe you. If I recall, this is what I get for only playing it once in 5 years and then saying I enjoyed it and then forgetting. But I believe it's like you place the you prioritize the concept with a big question, put on the exclamation points, and then I think you check them off with the cubes.
Man, yeah, I wish I knew what was going on in this. This probably makes a lot more sense in German. I'm telling you.
It might.
Right now.
It's a kind of an intimidating looking board, but when you get to play in the game, it's pretty basic, and it is a fun time.
The kids version is just animals, and it's so easy because it's like you put them out there, especially because I played it so much. Like somehow put down orange, and we'll just be like tiger, a cat, a goldfish, you know. So it's
it reminds me of a way more in-depth version of like that mechanism in Deception Murder in Hong Kong, where you're placing the bullets down on the things, but you're like trying to like
lead people to
see how people react to where you're placing stuff, and then
it's very similar to Deception and just mechanically in that.
Yeah.
Like you're getting very different. It's very different types of. Like the objective is very different in terms of what the clue is ultimately going to, but like that mechanic feels very deceptive. That was the thing that and that's how long it's been since I played it, where I probably hadn't played as much Deception as I have now by the time last time I played Concept, so I was playing it and thinking about Deception a lot while I was playing it. It's kind of like a less dark, murderous Deception.
Right, yeah.
That's awesome. And your other game looks like Railroad Inc.
It's Railroad Inc. And I won't talk about it a ton because it might even be in my topic games too. We also played Railroad Inc. With the Germans, and it's a very excellent game to play that doesn't require any sort of
language
translation. You can kind of get the concept across pretty easily with like kind of minimal language barrier, and Railroad Inc. just scales really well. I have 3 boxes of it and a couple of the expansions, and it's just like it's a roll and write. So if you hate roll and writes, it's not going to go very far for you, but you get to draw little railroads and little roads out, and then there's different expansions where you can draw avalanches and mountains and cities and chaos portals and things. There's all sorts of ways to kind of spice the game up, but it plays really quick. It's really easy to score, and you're only limited by the number of boards you have. So if you got 3 of them, you can sit and play with 18 people or whatever.
Awesome. All right, Matt, you have very miniatures full pictures here.
Yeah, we played D&D a couple of weekends ago. It was good fun. We were at last we left the heroes. They were at a school shooting.
Ah,
And then we
Only in Rob's game.
we got picked up by the police. So we started the game in the dungeon, as you do in prison. And it was pretty interesting. It was a little puzzly at first, and then Rob individually took everybody one by one into the living room and interrogated them. That part was pretty interesting. My character went last. He's also charisma's his dumb stat, so he just told the truth. And the guy was like, "I've got so much conflicting information, I don't even know what to do anymore."
It was so great. It was so great. Everyone else has like a similar story of like, oh man, we didn't do it. Matt's like, nope, they did this, and this person did this.
did you
we met over here and
did you read them their rights beforehand? You're like, anything you say or do can be used against you in the court of.
Do that in fantasy dungeons.
Oh, gotcha.
There's no rights, and let me tell you why. Because after all the grilling and interrogation, he goes, "Yeah, so anyway, there's this thing we do. If you'd like to go free, it's called Fight Club. You have duels out here in the sand pit, and so we went through and we were fighting our other players one by one in a tournament bracket.
Made them do a Fight Club.
And man, let me tell you, my character, he's a Dwarven Forge cleric, so I'm like, yeah, he's a beefy guy. The bard has more HP than me. Like, I went up against a wizard, and the wizard was just like, fireball! And I was like, well, I'm dead. All right, cool. Sounds good. But yeah, it was a good time. And then at the end, we were trying to figure out how to escape because the warden came back and was not pleased at how everything was going. So...
Dang, look at those miniatures being painted. Those guys look good.
Yeah,
they
Rob
do
has
look
done, just an unreal amount of work painting miniatures and setting up terrains and all this stuff. And every time we go over to his house, he's got more new, neat, fun stuff to play with.
That's awesome. I played D&D today at work, and we had a gigantic wave of babies that coalesced into a gigantic baby mechanical golem that was after us because we didn't pay somebody for another mechanical little elf thing. We kind of like ripped them off.
Who's DMing that?
So it was chasing us down because apparently we had broke the law. So I gave them a golden coin, and this golden coin thing can make 10 coins every single day. So I was like, hey, this can easily pay off this debt. It's not my fault that they didn't know that the golden coin comes back to me every single night and they got ripped off. That's not my fault. Okay. They should have read the fine print. But anyway, they sent a wife of babies after us, a gigantic golem baby thing. And there was this other alien thing that was trying to kill us. And we didn't want to fight both of them at the same time, so we ran past the alien so that the baby would attack him instead of us. That worked out pretty well. And then we ran into a house, and then the baby started crushing through the roof of the house, killing or attacking this gigantic this lady who was basically causing all these terrible creatures to appear and stuff. So, and also created a gigantic dragon cat thing that killed my brother. So I was happy that the giant baby thing was punching her in the face. But hey, you can check out a video of us playing this craziness on the Dice Tower. But it's wild. And sometimes we laugh a lot because really dumb stuff happens. like our fighter chopped off the lady's nose and then said, "I got your nose." And that's really stupid. Oh. It's really dumb. But yeah, we have fun. Also,
we have a good time with D&D. Matt does a good job. I wish you guys could see Matt playing D&D because I feel like I get to see another side of Matt, which is a lot of fun.
Do you yell at people, Matt?
Like when he's really into his character. It's just it's a good time. But trying to interrogate Matt in a French accent while trying not to laugh at everything he's saying, because they don't hear what I've asked the other people, and so in my brain I know he is throwing everybody under the bus, and I'm trying to use it while doing a terrible French accent, yelling at this guy and stuff like that. It was just. It was so much fun. I really enjoy our group, and I really enjoy playing D&D with Matt. I think he's fantastic to play with. And yeah, they did great. They all escaped at the very end. They all ended up. Which the other thing I love about our group is they really don't ask questions. So like as a DM, it gives you an hour. I I have made it so evidently clear that the person leading the group is so terrible and evil, but they're like, "Nah, he's with us. Let's go anyway." And so, like, no one's asking his background or his story. Like, even if they do, like, "Hey, I want to see if there's good or evil in the room." If he's in the room, I'll be like, "Yeah, there's evil in the room." But everyone's like, "Okay, this just is a bad room." Like, nobody's really like, asking questions.
I swear Tom has to hate me because like everybody we run into, I'm just like, insight check. I'm like, I don't trust anybody. I'm like, are they lying to me? And I'll roll really high and I'll be like, oh, you can't tell. And then they like stab us in the back. I'm like, I totally, like, you told me that guy wasn't lying. Like,
no, our group they really like to steal stuff. Like they're constantly doing, they want to check their environments and stuff like that. And Sammy, Matt, I want to bring this up to Michael. Sammy has the bag of holding. Like, she took it, she went invisible to go steal the stuff, and now she has the bag of holding that has all of this stuff in it. And I'm afraid she's gonna try to like steal everything out of that bag before anybody gets their stuff back. So we have to watch Sammy when everybody gets back. But yeah, the group is they're doing great. I thought the Fight Club was fun. I made like a little arena. I didn't take pictures of the inside of it because the pictures don't do it justice. But I made like this sand pit arena that you can sort of see behind us. And that was kind of fun. And I got these glass boards that have the squares on them. Cool. And there's dead bodies in there and blood and other things like that throughout the arena and skeletons and stuff. But yeah, man, we're really enjoying D&D. And I hope this short part of the campaign will end probably in our next couple sessions because Sammy's getting ready to have a baby. Like, what a jerk, right?
Yeah, so selfish, honestly.
So selfish of her. You guys see some of my Game of Thrones minis in there, like those guards. They're all in my Lannister army. From Game of Thrones. And so, but the world I've got more created, so I'm hoping Matt and other people hang on. And in fact, even at this last one, we had 3 people. One person came from out of state to come watch us.
Like theater of the mind is fine, but there's something to be said about like having like epic setups and being able to see all the miniatures running around. It's just so fun, you know.
Yeah, and so and they enjoyed it. In fact, one of them, she wants to play in our next campaign, and she was telling Sammy what to do and stuff like that. But it's just a lot of fun. And again, I really appreciate Matt. Oh, and side note, in our family, Matt is also known as the Cheese Man.
Oh,
gosh. Every time we do D&D at my house, Matt's been bringing cheese, and so my daughters, before we played, she's like, "Oh, is your friend coming?" I was like, "Baby, which one?" He's like, "No, the guy with the cheese man. Is the cheese man coming?" And so I texted Matt. I was like, "Hey, just want to let you know my daughters are calling me the cheese man. I don't know if you're coming."
Listen,
like, I'm bringing the cheese. And again, he brings such a great assortment of cheese. So
you have a legacy. You can't live it down.
That's our cheese dealer. Like, hey man, you got that Gouda? That Gouda thing? Yeah. But they're tearing up the mozzarella and stuff. So we appreciate Matt. We love playing with Matt.
That's awesome. Well, my game is a game that I've talked about a ton of times before, but this is an expansion for it, and this is Unmatched Slings and Arrows or something like that. Anyway, this is the Shakespeare version of Unmatched, which has several characters. It has Hamlet. It has the Wayward Witches sisters, whatever, something like that. And then it has Titania or whatever, the fairy lady, and Shakespeare. If I'm butchering all of this, it's because, you know, Shakespeare isn't necessarily my passion. So, like, I didn't necessarily care about this set 100% when it came out, but what I will say is 2 things. The characters I think are really cool. The mechanics are fun. Like, Shakespeare has this iambic pentameter where he's trying to play stuff out with certain numbers on it, and if he gets the numbers right, then he gets to get bonuses for his action. And then Hamlet has he can be 2 modes at the beginning of each round. He can choose to be or not to be, and if he's to be, he gets to draw extra cards. If he's not to be, then he deals extra damage, and he's super cool that way. The Wayward Sisters are trying to cast all these different spells, so as they discard cards, they go into a spell pot, and then they can trigger all of those things to do different spell actions, so they can get extra actions or maybe heal some of the Wayward Sisters or do a bunch of different stuff like that, and their stuff will combo off of stuff kind of in their spell cauldron. And then the fairy, Titania or whatever, she gets to flip over different cards, and they'll basically do different abilities. So she can like fly through people or push people around. Lots of cool stuff. She has different things where she can switch that out. But yeah, and the board itself is like a theater. So, and the cool thing is that the stage is adjacent to like the balcony for like range. So like people from the stage could be shooting people up in the balcony, or people from the balcony could be shooting people down on the stage. And I don't know, I really like the map for this set. So even though I don't care that much about Shakespeare, it's cool that these very, very different characters are added into a match. So you can now have like Shakespeare versus like Spider-Man, or you can have like the Velociraptors fighting against Hamlet. You know, it's just crazy. The matchups you can now have in a match. And I think that's kind of like the point of the game, is like, you've never had these characters fight off against each other. You've never even thought of these characters fighting off against each other, but now you can do that in Unmatched. And I think the mechanics in this are great, and they're a lot of fun. But yeah, it is definitely a wacky set, but it was cool. But yeah, I don't know how much. Have you still never played Unmatched, Rob?
No, he still hasn't. I don't know how we've avoided
I literally
this.
just typed that in chat. Like,
Oh,
man, every time I hear you guys talking about these games,
It's so good.
I'm
it
sure
makes
you'd
me
like it.
want to play it. And I
You're
love what you just
easy
said.
to play.
Velociraptor versus Hamlet. I mean, come on.
It's
Yeah.
an easy game to play and pick up, Rob. You could do it.
Yeah,
I
that's
bet you
the
could
thing
easily
about
play
it.
this with your daughter.
Into
Yeah.
Yeah, she probably would get into it. The thing about Unmatched that, and we've probably said this ad nauseum, is like, for as deep and varied as it is, it's never hard to new deck and then thumb through and be like, okay, if I play this once, I'll probably be pretty good on my second playthrough. And it truly is the case. You get those combos that feel really good from a card battler like Magic the Gathering. You get that moving a guy around the map kind of area control, like position optimization stuff, that like, it's just such a satisfying game, but it is not hard. You can just play around in 20 minutes. You can like play it casually. Like, I love it. It's just one of my all-time favorites.
Do you have any of it? Do you own any kind of sets?
Yeah, I own like 2 or 3 of them.
Dang.
I have like the Beowulf one, and then I have like
That's a good one.
I think the Little Red Riding Hood, or another. I know I have a couple of them.
Yeah, it's such an easy thing to play too. Honestly, Rob, I think you could get through that rule book really easy. It's so
Man, guys,
dang
for
simple.
everybody listening to the show, I know how to read.
I think
Like, even honestly, let your daughter have the rule book. She can teach you.
Rob, even words are hard.
Even Rob can read these rules.
Guys, this game is so great. Even Rob could learn this game. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. You know, yes, I can.
He has a stop sign in so many years now, guys.
Right? I have not been to traffic court at all in a while. You know, I do read contracts on a regular basis. I've written a couple books. Like, I know how to put sentences together.
The guy who writes books, but
More than children books too. Like, they're not just like big pictures. Like, ooh, big picture, bad guy. You can kill him.
If it was written on a Lorcana card, you would have played it already.
Yeah, it's true.
Put it on Lorcana card, and I'll get it.
Fair enough.
Well, actually, I cheated. We cheated with Ursula Lorcana. I didn't want to read that thing, so I was like, let me just call Kent.
You're not making your point any better, Rob.
Yeah, so we ended up calling Kent, and I was like, we were watching the video, and he texted. I was like, all right, I'll just call him. Hey, do we do this? Yep. You do this? Yep. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Nice.
Yep. I confirm.
Legendary.
Love it.
Yeah, but Kent is legendary. I mean, in fact, Matt and I were joking about this. I think he sent me like an Instagram or a TikTok or something. It's like joking about having to read all these rules. You know, like, man, when you're one friend who can't come to game day and you have to read the rules.
Yeah.
You know. I'll play it. I will play it this summer. I've been busy. You know, I'm trying to
I
run
get
a
it,
company by myself and watch 2 girls while the wife's at work and stuff, and do all these other projects that I'm doing too. So,
Well, I feel you.
and then paint minis for Matt. I just want to make Matt so happy. So,
Yeah,
You got to make Matt happy so he
you're
keeps
number
bringing
one.
the cheese, you know. If
bro,
Matt's-
if that cheese ever stops, I'll get kicked out of my house. We will move game night around so cheese can come.
There you go.
That's my byline.
No, but these Unmatched games, I love that they're
Matt,
still
the
doing it.
bringer
I
of
love how
cheese.
simple it is, and I also love how it's cross-platform, where all the characters fight against all the characters.
Mhm.
I have the big unmatched, the Maze to Tail.
What?
Oh, you need to play that
That's
one.
the
That's what you need
cooperative
to play.
version. That one's awesome.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got
that's
that one.
awesome.
I've got that one and like one or two of the against each other stuff. I'm really good at buying the games. Like you guys tell me, I'll buy the game.
They're great.
So you're gonna have Imperial Borders on the shelf too for a while, and you have to read that rule book.
No, I'm so excited but that's my style of game. Like I own 26 versions now of Risk. I own several versions of Axis and Allies. Like these are the games that I like to play. I like those big war games. Like when my buddy Dave says let's play TI4, I'll take a whole day to play TI. Like those are my style of games. I love those games. So.
Mhm.
No, and I have other people on board now for Imperial Borders. That game looks so good. And then the guy who called earlier, who he just texted me back, actually just like 2 minutes ago. Yeah, this is David. Thank you, because I totally did not know. Like I love those Game of Thrones style of war games types of things. Like I know it has nothing. I may even put on Napoleon while we play or something. I don't know, but I love doing that kind of thing. Like whenever we do D&D, I always put on background music or something. But yeah, that's what the problem is with this game, guys. You play it under 20 minutes, that's nothing to me. That's not even one person's round in the games that I'm used to playing. Or that I like to play. So, I'll read the rules. As hard as that may be, when you read, you go from left to right, right?
Depends on
You
which
start at the top,
language.
you work your way down.
Yeah, it depends on language. Yeah.
But it's mostly for our language. Is it left to right, and then do you go from bottom up?
Honestly, I'm slightly ADD and dyslexic. I just kind of like look at the whole page.
But you're also really good at explaining rules. See, that's
I'll
why
send you the-
I love
I'll send you the
and I
video.
love Kent.
I'll send you the video.
And scene. I'm done. I apologize.
Kent's game is Jin.
Yeah,
a D.
so we played Jin. It's a Benjamin Swerer game who designed Crown of Amara and Hadara, which are games we've been fans of. But they're very much kind of medium weight Euro games, and this is no exception. This is a game where you're basically I think you're part of like a magic guild or something, and you're going around and trying to catch djinns in the city. So like they're like genies all around the city. And they're these they're pretty cool, like wooden screen print and meeples with the different colored djinns, and they have like these angry faces on them and stuff. You can it's hard to see in some of these pictures, but they're pretty cool little genie meeples. But essentially,
yeah.
you put in when you're playing the game, you have these random pieces that you put into that circular area in the center of the city, which are the different actions. So they're kind of different spots every game. And you're moving your little person around the city, but you can't backtrack. So you kind of go in a path, and depending on what path you take, it's going to determine what actions you do. And then when you get to certain spaces, like the circular spaces are essentially more powerful spaces. The square spaces are the same kind of spaces, but as far as the actions go, but they don't do as much for you. But anyway, when you hit a circle, you have to fight a djinn or try to capture a djinn in a bottle. So you have magic you're using to spin to kind of capture the djinns. You have if you have a bottle, you can put the djinn in a bottle and then cork it. So you got to find corks, you got to find bottles. If you don't have that, you can store it on your player board for a little while until you're able to get that stuff. But essentially, the game is going to come down to kind of doing actions, trying to be efficient. You're collecting mage cards, which are going to be like helpers to help you catch the djinns. So you can use those mage cards to kind of power up your catching ability, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go down and get some equipment at the bottom of there too. There's some cards that you can get a staff, you can get a hat, and you get like a cape, and they just give you special abilities or bonuses or kind of stuff. But it's got a really nice look to it. It's as far as Euro games go, it's got really nice kind of nice components. It's got a kind of a cool look. It's got the cool little pieces. And it's pretty straightforward to play. It's like it feels like you're kind of moving your guy around the city trying to do actions most efficiently. But it's not like it doesn't feel like a lot of Euro games I've played.
Oh, that's cool.
Even though it very much is a Euro game, but it's got it just feels different, I would say. But it does have a lot of this. If you are familiar with Euro games, there's a lot of like the set collection type stuff or trying to, complete certain conditions to get extra points and things like that. But it's a pretty neat game, and it's got nice presentation, pretty easy to play once you get figured out. The main interaction of the game is that you can, if you go to a spot where someone else is, you have to pay them money or pay them a scroll or something. But other than that, you're kind of just trying to be efficient with your pathing and trying to catch your gens and trying to kind of get bonuses when you can, and kind of be opportunistic with what you're with your actions. So that's Djinn. It's probably worth checking out if you like Euro games and you like kind of different feeling Euro games, especially, and it doesn't feel too heavy. It's like one other thing I've heard to mention is it's got this kind of cool thing where at the start of the game you get a special power that's only for you, that makes you special in some way, but you also have a negative, like a detriment at the same time. So you're kind of handicapped in some way, but then you got this super thing that's like pretty powerful in another way. So it's kind of cool to like have to adapt to that and try to figure out your game plan based on what your two things you have are. But yeah, that's Djinn.
Nice. And then Courtney's game.
All right, Courtney, sell me this one because I almost bought this recently.
You're gonna love it, Adam. It's,
okay.
It's very Cascadia-like. I think probably a lot of people are going to be comparing it to that. So you're basically on your turn. It's super simple. You take three tiles. Like one of the pictures, you can see the board with all the different sets of little tiles. So you take a 3 set of tiles. You put them on your board. Kind of the cool thing is you don't have to put them adjacent to each other. You can put them anywhere on your board that you want, but they each tile has like a different aspect of the landscape that you're creating. So there's like water tiles, there's like field, there's mountains, and you can build little houses and stuff with stacking up some of the tiles. So you can put them anywhere you want, so you don't have to like follow adjacency, but you can only stack like mountains can only be stacked on the top of other mountains, and tiles and the yellow tiles or the field tiles you can't stack on anything, and so there's different rules with how to stack the tiles, but other than that you can just kind of put them wherever you want. And basically what you're trying to do is there's these cards that you can also see in that picture that are supposed to represent animals or features of the landscape, and so kind of similar to Cascadia, or at the end of the game is like if you have these tiles arranged in a certain way, you get points for that. This is kind of the same kind of thing, but you're getting those points as the game goes on. So if you create one of those certain landscapes or a certain set of tiles during the game, you like take a cube off of that. That's how many points you'll get. You put it on your landscape board, and then you can if you do it again, if there's some of the cards you can do that, create that like set of or pattern a couple times. Sometimes it's one time, just depends on the card. But if you create it again, you can take it off, and then once that card is over, you can only hold like 4 cards at a time. And so once you clear off one, you can get another one and start working on that. But I think the main difference kind of between Cascadia and this one is, with Cascadia, you can just kind of branch off any way to kind of make it work. Whereas with this one, you have a set player board that you're working with. So you can really kind of have to plan ahead a little bit, and you kind of screw yourself over like, oh, now I can't complete this thing that I was working on because I blocked off this tile, and now I can't get this one tile next to this other one. So you kind of have to, it's a lot more thinky that way, kind of more like Calico, I think, in that regard, where you have like a set board that you're working with. But I liked it. I mean, it's a tile layer, so I love these types of games.
It looks really cute too.
Yeah, and the game ends basically when you run out of tiles, which I don't know how that would happen, but
in a 4-player game you might.
Maybe, yeah. But in a 2-player game, it was like when you have you have 2 or less empty spaces on, somebody has 2 empty spaces on the board, so it's kind of different. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention to what Kent was doing at all, but that kind of screwed me over because like I had not too many more spaces than he did, but like a fair amount, because I was like trying to build stuff up, whereas he was just kind of laying stuff flat, and so he ended a lot faster than I did, and I was like, oh, I was working on a lot more. But so you do kind of, there's not really player interaction other than like he could take the card or the tiles that I wanted, but you kind of do have to pay attention because that game, it can be over a lot faster than you want it to be.
How does this compare to Reef? Have you played Reef?
Yeah, Reef.
Because it looks Reefish or whatever as far as like building out the patterns,
This
Yeah.
is more complicated, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a little bit more. I mean, I like Reef a lot too. But yeah, I think this one's a little bit more complicated with the patterns and how it interlocks with like everything else. Because with Reef, when you do it, it's gone, right?
You score the card and you get the
Yeah.
points, so you can kind of like build up over top.
Build
of what
up
you just
over
did.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
Which you can do that a little bit with this
some
one,
extent.
but not as much because you can't put like once you score the mountain, you can't, or something with a mountain on it, you can't put like green, like you can't like put a tree on top of the mountain, you know. So it's like once it's that, you can't turn it into anything else really.
This one feels like there's more to juggle at one time than Reef. Like this one, you're trying to combo like you're trying to complete multiple cards at a time, and sometimes doing that is tricky to get like because you can shut yourself out easily of other cards if you're not careful. I don't think that's the way Reef is. Maybe it is, but
Yeah, it's been a while since we played Reef. But Reef is, it's kind of similar idea.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
it's good.
I mean, I like the games it's getting compared to. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know this was super
Probably-
well regarded. I've seen a lot of people
and it's
say
pretty.
they
It's very
liked it.
pretty too.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's a cool little thing to look at when you're done. It's very abstract, but it's cool looking.
yeah, I read the rule book and stuff, and it feels like it's kind of got like that elegant vibe. It feels like it's like really tight, but it's not like frustrating to play. You know, or
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I really like that where it's like tight, but you don't. It's simple enough for like it's elegant, right? You're not.
And it's
you're not-
over quick enough where if you did horrible, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's why I can't stand those super 4 to 5, 6 hour games when I'm just like, if I'm like doing horribly, it's I feel because like I guess I'm so competitive. Like if I lost that game, I would be like, oh my gosh, I just wasted 6 hours of my life.
Holy
Like,
smokes.
I mean, I guess I couldn't say that if I was hanging out with you, Rob, but like that would be a waste of time. But
But if
yeah,
you're hanging out with Matt, at least you wasted that much time, but with cheese.
that's it, I guess, yeah.
Well, if
I know
she's
we
hanging
were
makes it
playing
better.
we were playing
Makes it
Lorcana
worth
the
it.
other
winning
night.
the game.
Hmm?
I said if you're hanging out with me, you're probably also winning the game. So
No.
That's true.
I know Ken
Dang.
got upset the other night because we were playing Lorcana, and I was like, I just wasted my hour because I still can't beat his green steel deck. And he was like, oh, thanks, honey. And I was like, oh, sorry, yeah.
I just wasted an hour sitting here with Kent.
I was just so mad.
I was like, I
lost.
had fun playing with you too.
I'm glad we do this.
I love that.
Well, our topic for tonight is travel games. So games that you can take on the go and you can travel with. And since we started with Rob for the other thing, we're gonna start with Rob again. Rob's got
all right,
some
great.
games here.
With my family, it's typically a deck of cards. Like we'll take decks of cards, but that's really boring. I don't want to just put up a deck of cards. The game that I play a lot though, whether it's with small groups or with like couples and stuff, I love to bring the Mind. So the Mind is a great game where you're not allowed to cheat, but I cheat all the time at the Mind, and still have never won. It's small, it's compact, it can fit in my hand, which I have big hands, but it comes with 100 cards, and then plus some other cards, but I would say in total it's maybe 120 cards. So the box is the size of 2 decks of playing cards, side by side. It's not a very big box at all. It's so much fun. It's a great game. And it's a game that you can play over and over and over again, because even somebody as simple as me, where reading is hard, you can learn how to play this game very easily. And so, yeah, I love the Mind. And then I haven't played this game in forever, but I was looking at this. I was looking at the size of the box. I was like, dang, Fantasy Realms is a small box. That'd be a great box to travel with. And we're getting ready to go to Ireland and Scotland, so I may try to pack that along with me. Fantasy Realms is you're basically just adding cards and you're trying to make combos of those cards to get the most points at the end of the game. It's a very simple game, but that's a great small size box game if you want to be able to travel with that. And it plays, I think, up to 3 to 6 players, which is a lot for that box. I think the Mind is only up to 4. We've played with more than 4, which is terrible because the more people, the harder it is. But Fantasy Realms, that's a fun little game. I haven't played it in a couple years, but a great game to travel with. And then speaking of earlier, all the different versions of Risk that I have, one of my new additions is Risk Strike. It's not even a board. You just play with cards. And I have not, read these rules because, again, words are hard. But I was thinking about bringing this with us to Scotland as we play, because it'd just be something fun that we could play in our hotel room. I also wanted to put up Project L, but Adam hasn't bought it, and I've given up hope that Adam is going to buy Project L, even though he should, because it's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, Adam, you haven't bought Project L yet?
He hasn't bought it.
It's in my cart. But
it's so ridiculous. It's an instant buy, like instant buy. It's that good. But anyway, Risk Strike. It is Risk, but with chips, cards, and dice. And so it looks really cool. It looks really fun. So that's what I kind of considered when I was doing travel games. Is like, okay, what are games that aren't going to take up too much room in my luggage? Because my luggage is tough. I wear a size 15 shoe, so it's like I get to bring one extra pair of shoes with me when I'm traveling, because they are small boats. And so I have to bring a small game with me that I can probably fit in my shoes. So anyway, those are my 3 games that I picked for easy travel. Other than that, and cards.
Love it. Adam!
All right, so I picked games that I've definitely traveled with a bit. And so mostly games that I play with my kids, and then specifically games that go well with my daughter, because my daughter travels anxious and she wants something to do. She does not want to be thinking about the traveling. She wants to do the thing in the airport. So going back to my games played today, I have to add Railroad Ink in there. Railroad Ink is in a box about that big. It's got a little magnet. There's not much in it to lose. If you just bring the base, it's I think there's 6 dice in there, but you play with 4 typically, and you get the little some dry erase markers and some pens, and it's, as I previously stated, it is a roll and write that has a pretty quick round limit. I think you play 5 rounds in the game, and you're just you're trying to make a real efficient little map, draw it out, and you can play it pretty quick, and we like it a lot. So there's that one. The other one I put on there is Zombie Dice. Zombie Dice is just a ridiculous game, but it is a really good airport game. It's a really good, like, we're having dinner at like a Raising Cane's in an airport. It's loud, it's sticky, it's weird, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's been around forever. It's got to be a 20-year-old game at this point almost, and it's just zombie Yahtzee. I mean, you're just chucking dice as the zombie, and you're trying to eat as many brains as possible without getting shotgunned. It's as crude as it is. You're trying to roll brains, not roll shotguns. And when you draw dice out of the bag to roll your Yahtzee roll each time, and you keep pushing your luck, the dice are green, yellow, and red, and green dice have more brains, and yellow dice have more of an equal number of brains and shotguns, or shotgun blasts, and then the red is not in your favor. So you kind of just get to see who can get up to a certain score. I forget what the base score is. We usually just play until we have to leave the area we're in.
I think it's 13.
Is it 13? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just keep going on it a lot of times until we have to like vacate wherever. But that's been a real transition game for me and my family for a long time. I almost only play it in airports and on public transit and stuff like that. It's like never in the mood for it at home. But like if we're like in an airport, we're playing Zombie Dice, like just throwing them on the floor. So and there's a couple little expansions, like a bus die where you can like eat a bus full of children. Great theme thematically. It's amazing. It fits right into one of Rob's D&D games. It would be perfect there. And I do have a few of those expansions. So I put all mine into a felt bag actually, and it makes it easy to travel. And then the other thing I put on here is a tabletop RPG that travels really well and is really light and easy to play with your kids or with people who've never played an RPG, and that's Goblin Quest. I'm a huge fan of this game. It is oh my gosh, it might be an 80-page little rule book or a 60-page little paperback rule book that you can get. And it is a game where your character sheet is a little family of goblins. You have like 6 goblins, and your goal is to complete a quest before they all die, basically, because they're pretty squishy. And it's one of these. It's like a D6 little dice pool game, and you roll your D6s, and you're kind of looking for a certain number of successes. So it's sort of a fail forward system, which I think is like Powered by the Apocalypse style rolling. If anyone's familiar, I believe that's the one that does that. So generally speaking, the game will almost always progress because you're kind of forced to have a narrative that matches the success for the dice roll. So it's just something that's meant to be played in a couple hours. Works real good when you're traveling in a hotel because, again, you just need the character sheet and some D6s. And, you know, the rule we usually have is that everyone has to do these ridiculous goblin voices, and we have to have ridiculous last words when they die, because they're usually getting, like, stuck in a giant jar of peanut butter and eaten by an orc, you know? So it's kind of, you know, I'm allergic to nuts was my last words, and we'll write it on their little tombstone, so they have little, like, little epitaphs when it's all done. And the game encourages a lot of this type of thing. It's very much a shared world-building game. It's not rules-heavy. You can play it without a DM. So you can all just play it together because you're sort of just riffing off of the next person as you take your turn. Oh, they did this wild thing. I'm going to do this with my goblins. And since you're cooperatively failing forward, you kind of share that narrative. Which if you've never played a DM-less game, I think sometimes that feels like too squishy. And it could be, but this is a game that's meant to be over in an hour and a half. You know, so it's not something you're going to play maybe 2 hours. It's a one-shot. But it's like a little quick one-shot type game. It's not meant for you to get into the crunch of the mechanics. You're supposed to be laughing at, like, having, you know, goblins die from an imaginary STD called Hippity Bipkiss. You know, like, that's pretty much what
they should have got their Hippity Bipkiss testing, you know?
Yeah, stuff like that. So that's Goblin Quest.
There still is no cure for that.
Yeah, no, as far as I can tell.
All right, Matt's games.
I just picked 2 games that are small, but also kind of different and play, you know, in different scenarios. But I could see maybe both of these working out in like a bar sort of deal, or, you know, taking them with you. One Night Ultimate Werewolf, I think, would be a lot of fun with a good group of people. You do have to have a phone, so if you're going camping, that may not be the. I mean, it would work for as long as your phone had batteries, so, you know. That would maybe be delightful. It may not work if you're going on a trip with family and you're sitting around with like 3 or 4. It probably still plays well at 4, but you know, if you and the missus are heading out, probably not the best game. But Scout is the other game that picks up where that one left off. Simple little card game. I've talked about it a bunch. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. But I feel like, these 2 are pretty solid. And honestly, I put One Night in there just because I want to play it again. I haven't played it in a long time, and it's a
we used to play One Night nonstop.
Yeah, and it was such a good time. Such a good time.
Yeah, it's fun.
But yeah, those are my games.
For me, I picked Marvel Champions, basically because this is a game that I travel with all the time. It's one of my favorite games ever. I've played this on a plane. I play this at tons of conventions with people. I'll play it like randomly wherever. And normally you can keep this like enough to play the game, like a couple heroes, a couple villains, and just like a deck box, because it doesn't take up that much space. You have to have a few sets of dice or something if you want to use it for all of the tokens you need in the game, and then like life dials or whatever. I played with just sets of dice before and just be like, this D12 is my life points, and let me change it up each time. But recently I like keep it like in this, and I'll put like put this in my backpack, and it is heavy. And there's been plenty of times going through TSA where people are like, that's a brick. Like, what the crap is that? They'll be like, that's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I'm like, yes, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But I'll have like I don't know, like how is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, like 13 different heroes I could choose from, and like 2 different like campaigns I could play. And you could fit all of that in like a tiny little box and just some dice, you know, that's all you really need to play. But I love Marvel Champions, of course, because I talk about it all the time. One of my favorite games ever. And it's really easy to travel with, honestly. And it's cooperative, so you can kind of like teach people on the go. It's not as intimidating when you're playing a cooperative game with new people, because you can be like, hey, this is how you play, and you work together. So that's always fun. And I can play solo. So that's my travel game.
I still haven't played this, and it's every
Really?
time I'm like,
Oh, wow.
I still haven't. And it's like right up my alley too. It's like
It's one of those
You're
games you
sticking
can
your
play
16
while drinking your coffee in
Yeah.
the morning, you know?
It's a good
Yeah,
solo
so
for sure.
I could play it solo on a Saturday morning. Man, I need to get off my butt and just grab a couple. You know, I think I'm afraid of getting it and then just going retail crazy after I
thing
get
is,
it.
just don't. You know, literally just have willpower. Like, get the base set and like
and then
create a
everything else they made.
rule. No, just create a rule of where it's
Just
like
get the
I
characters
have
that
to
you
have
like.
played with the character and I have to have beaten the villain before I get something different. You know, if you play with that rule, like if you haven't played with what you already have, you shouldn't be getting more. Rob, if you haven't played with what you
But
already
even if
have,
you don't like the character, you got to get their card. You got to get the packs for their extra card, their aspects and stuff.
Yeah.
and no, you don't have to buy everything. No, it's just it's casual. It's cooperative, so you don't have to go so hard. So, but yeah, I love it. I just recently the picture that's in here is of the brand new Age of Apocalypse set where I was playing Bishop. But yeah, there's lots of cool stuff in the game.
And then
But
when
you
you're
do have
building
to start with the
optimized decks, you got to buy characters twice to get extra cards for the second
This
set.
is, this is why Miniature
Or just
Market
not.
loves Kent Parker.
That's why Kent's in the top 3% of all-time purchasers for Miniature Market.
No, not top 3%. Top,
Top
3.
3. Top 3.
It's kind of embarrassing, actually.
It is super embarrassing.
That's not embarrassing. That is a freaking badge
It
of
is
honor.
super
I'm dedicated.
embarrassing.
I'm
That is
I'm
not
dedicated board game.
embarrassing.
Kim Parker is single-handedly keeping the board game industry afloat.
First of all,
And now he
I
switched
love
over to
that Miniature
Lorcana.
Market did that for you. I think that is such a smart marketing tactic.
Yeah, why don't we have a picture of that in the PowerPoint?
Yeah, really.
Because the
That
people
is-
listening have
that
no
is
clue what we're
awesome.
talking about.
News.
So we got this package in the mail from Miniature Market, which is not a big deal, right? Those come very often, or haven't been coming as
haven't
often
been
as
coming
they
that-
used
that
to,
much
because
lately.
since we switched to Lorcana.
It's not every
but-
day now. It's every
But a
other.
miniature market package showed up, and I was like, I didn't order anything recently. What's going on?
And inside was a ticket. They gave us Ticket to Ride Paris. They said the letter said, "Thank you for all your support. We noticed this game was on your wish list, so we send it to you. Thank you for being our top 3 customer."
Whoa.
Basically, and they sent us a dice
there a
bag
thermos?
and a
Yeah, they sent us a thermos,
Thermos
and
and-
some dice, like a lanyard,
I'm so jealous.
dice
Like,
bag, like a bag,
Don't
a tote
be.
bag. Yeah.
They
I-
realized we haven't bought anything in a while. That's why.
That's what I said. I was like, because you started buying Lorcana, they're losing like half their revenue.
I'm surprised the care package didn't start with, "We're sorry to hear about whatever unfortunate accident befell you. You stopped purchasing
baby,
games."
come back.
we would really appreciate your patronage.
We're missing all of you.
It was a fun surprise.
Yeah, it was very sweet, but yeah.
But I like that, though. Just as a board game company, right? Like I like that. That's one of the things that I like about board game is the community, right? It's a cool, close knit community that Kent pays for most of our stuff, but it's still it's a cool, tight community, and they're like, "Hey, man, we need you." You know, I think that's a smart marketing ploy, and hats off to you guys. Just I
Apparently,
think it's-
apparently, some people, you know, how they get direct deposit that goes into their bank account. Kent's just goes straight to Miniature Market.
Only a certain percentage.
man, if
Oh, gotcha.
Miniature
Just got a
Market
tab
like
open.
updated their Lorcana stuff and was like a top Lorcana dealer.
Oh,
Man.
or-
Could you imagine that first place package? What would it have been?
Little trophy.
Right?
That's all. Yeah.
Like Kent's picture is on the wall at like Miniature Market.
The
headquarters
first and
stuff like
second
that.
place would have been a bit extreme, but 3, that's reasonable.
Now when you
You're like,
buy
I'm willing to
buy
take the bronze
package,
medal.
Yeah. Still in the boat.
So good though. I love that.
Awesome. Well, speaking of Kent, let's talk about his traveling game.
All right, so I bring this game with me. I've brought this game with me almost everywhere I travel. It's basically just a deck of cards. It's Port Royal. It's a push your luck card game from Alexander Pfister, and essentially, so it doesn't feel like a standard deck of cards game. It's very much a Euro game, card game, but basically you are pushing your luck by flipping over cards from the general, like the deck. In that deck, it's basically multi-use cards. So the backs of the cards are representing money. If you have them face down in front of you, they count as coins. If you have other cards face up in front of you, it counts as either a mission or counts as like a person or whatever. So anyway, you're flipping cards up and you are trying to just basically get a good card for yourself or get a certain amount of cards for yourself in the pool in the market. But you can bust if you get too many ships of the same color, or essentially 2 ships of the same color. And then after you flipped over cards, people have the opportunity to purchase cards from the market you revealed, but they have to give you money for doing that. So it kind of incentivizes you to flip over cards to make the market kind of juicy for other players, so they pay you for the cards. And it also is incentivizing you to push your luck to get better stuff for yourself, but also like you get extra cards if you can reveal a certain number of cards without busting, essentially. So anyway, it's just a really fun little game. It's pretty simple to play. It's pretty straightforward, but it's got some fun interaction, and it does feel like a Euro game, I would say. But it does a lot with a very little amount of components and just a single deck, like I said. And it gives you some fun little interaction at the table and fun push your luck. I mean, a lot of people like push your luck. It can feel pretty bad, though, to be in like it goes up to 5 players, and just on your turn you bust, and then you have to wait for your turn to come back around again. But other than that, it's just a fun little game. I recommend it to anybody if you like push your luck, or if you want kind of a simple, Euro game kind of not negotiation I should say, but more like a like kind of trading, or you can be like, flip over that card. You can kind of egg people on, but then you can also benefit from that by getting purchasing cards from what they reveal. But that is Port Royal.
Love it.
Wow.
Multi-use cards.
Yep.
And then Courtney's game, a classic.
Yeah, I guess it's a classic now. I don't know.
It's not a flash in the pan.
I picked The Crew, which is just a cooperative trick-taking game. It's just like a lot of these other games that people picked. It's just a deck of cards, so it's pretty travel size, ready to go. And we played last night. Gosh, we haven't played this in a while, but we played it. Last time we played it, we were at the beach. So we had traveled to the beach and we're playing it there. So most people can have played Trick Takers in their life, so it's pretty easy to pick up, and you can go on different missions. So like each game is a little bit different than the last. So that's kind of adds some what's that word I'm looking for?
Just a little variety.
Yeah, variety.
You got like 50,
a lot of variety to the
missions
to
you
the
can work
game.
towards.
So, and then if you get through this one, you can go to the deep sea one. I think is the one that came out next. So, but yeah, it's a cruise.
And there's a
Have
new
you
one
guys
coming out,
played Inside Job?
Yes.
That was good too.
Matt, have you played Inside Job?
I have not.
Have you played The Crew?
Nope.
So The Crew is basically like trick taking, where you're trying to make sure people get certain cards. Inside Job basically takes The Crew, but then adds social deduction into that sort of situation, where there's a person that is like the bad guy or whatever. Then everybody else is trying to. The insider, everybody else is trying to complete these different missions and make sure people are getting the right cards and stuff like that. And this one person is kind of like allowed to like play, like pretend like they don't have, the card to follow suit, so that way they can win things. If they win a certain amount, that they win. But then at the end, people can guess who the insider is. If they get it right, then they lose the game instead. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't even like trick taking, but I like both The Crew and I like Inside Job, which is a lot of fun.
The insider can win outright if they get enough tricks too.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where you
just don't want anybody to win all the tricks.
Somebody can be like, I'm going to win a bunch of tricks because I've got good cards and I can stop the insider, but they may be lying. So who knows, So you definitely don't want somebody to be getting all the tricks, but then again, maybe you do if they're on your team.
Also, because the insider can just kind of cheat a little bit. They can just be like, I win the last trick because I'm cheating. So that's kind of cool.
And there's some cool rolls in there too. There's some variability with like the way the rolls work, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I think the fact that you like all of the werewolf stuff so much, Matt, I feel like Inside Job you'd have a lot of fun with.
Yeah, The Crew has been something that I've wanted to play for a while, but it's not one of those things that I just haven't bought it for myself. Not that I really play games much.
I've heard people play the 2-player version and really enjoy it, so that's
I like
cool.
the 2-player version. Kent didn't like it.
I like the regular version better, but I still like the 2-player version.
Yeah.
Like if I had to pick,
it is better
I'd
with
rather
more
play
people.
like 3 or 4, but I do like the 2-player.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that is our topic of games that you can travel with. Let us know in the comments below, or any other games you think would be great to travel. There's so many great games, you know, that you can take with you on the go. It's just good to have games like in your backpack or games with you. So like if an opportunity arises, you can, you know, introduce people. One we didn't mention that is probably at the top of my list is Love Letter. Like I brought so many people into gaming with Love Letter. You know, it's one of those games you can just throw out during dinner, during whatever, during meeting or during a break time at work, or once it's way past break time and you're still playing Love Letter. I mean, whatever, you know. The amount of
you can be like, I have these 2 commander decks. Let me teach you Magic real quick.
Yeah,
Let's go. Never played Magic the Gathering? Here we go.
There you go.
Just kidding.
Oh, and Chad is saying Edo, which is a lot of fun. Edo is basically kind of like the Mind in some ways, but it's with like a topic. So basically, like you'd be like the topic could be like best candy bar, and then everybody gets dealt a number in between, or best candy period. Then everybody gets dealt a number in between 1 and 100, and then everybody has to say something but that tries to do it in the range of their number. So if your number is like 80, you'd be like, man, this is what everybody's going to think is a really good. You're like, oh my goodness, this candy's the best. But if it's like you got a 2, you'd be like, oh, this is licorice or something, or like something you think people are going to think is not good. But then everybody can discuss and kind of rearrange the cards in kind of like a timeline fashion while they're still face down, and you have to flip them all face up and see if you got it correct. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And they got it for Dice Tower Essentials, and Arcane Wonders is going to be releasing it, but it was a Japanese game that is coming over, which is pretty cool. I played it several times at Dice Tower Spring. It was really fun. Also, Happy Salmon, chat says, if you want to hurt kids.
Fun fact kind of sounds like that too, a little bit.
PTSD in Roy's house.
People.
Yeah, it's very much like Fun Facts where you like write the numbers down, right?
Yeah.
It's like Fun Facts if the cards were like static. If the
Yeah.
cards were like static. I feel like Fun Facts too can like hurt people's feelings a little bit more sometimes. Because it's like about yourself. Like all right, out of 1 to 100, like, I think there was one where it's like, 1 to 100, how creative are you? And then everybody pushes you down to the bottom. You're like, well, everybody thinks I'm not creative, I guess, you know. Great, thanks.
And then you flip it over and it was a 0.
Well, that would be you, Kent, but no, I'm just kidding. And that's how it hurts people's feelings. No, I'm just kidding.
It would 100% be a 0.
No way. Come on, man. You're totally creative. Anyway, it's been a good episode, everyone. I'm just kidding. Just roll credits.
Way to get to the third most bought purchases at Miniature Market. Bought most purchases. I'm tired. It's been a long day.
But hey, speaking of being a long day, thanks everybody for coming out and joining us in chat. Hope you guys are having fun playing all the games. Does anybody else have any parting wishes to tell people?
No, just
No.
You're all invited to Rob's house for Dungeons and Dragons.
Also, if you're number 1 or number 2 at Miniature Market, please let us know so that way we can dunk on Kent for not being number 1 or number 2. Also, let us know what they gave you guys, because holy crap. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll talk at you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.